which head. Okay, only here, if you just look at here, only here few points have been mentioned under this. That is basic salary, bonus, commission, fees, overtime remuneration, leave encashment, employer contribution to RPF in excess of prescribed limit, interest credited to RPF in excess of prescribed limit. So here first what I'll do, RPF is given, recognized provident fund. If SPF is given, SPF, statutory provident fund, in the question, directly we will write nil. Tax exempt we will write. There is no tax on statutory provident fund. Okay, just remember that point whenever you do the problem. So only the calculation part comes whenever it is given RPF, recognized provident fund. Okay. So now you have to remember salary will come, bonus, commission, fees, and only these are the few points they given. Apart from this, we have advance salary, that all we write it. Okay. Next, allowances. Again, under allowances, we have fully taxable, partly taxable, allowances not taxable. So fully taxable allowances, there are 14 to 18 points which are fully taxable allowances like DA, that is dearness allowance, and city compensatory allowance, entertainment allowance, medical allowance, lunch allowance, non-practicing allowance, project allowance, warden allowance. Like this, 18 to 19 allowances are there, which are fully taxable. So it's our point to remember those points so that it will be easy for us to find out whether it is a fully taxable allowance or partly taxable allowance or allowances not taxable. Now, the next comes perquisites. Under perquisites, we have taxable in case of all employees, specified employees, or not taxable. So, just first you should remember this format. As per that, you will be able to calculate or find out what is the income from salary. If you just this is our format. So, what I'll do, I'll not go to all the provisions. We'll look at some problems where you will be able to understand what are the provisions that are related and you can understand that. So just look at your salary means they given basic salary, wages, gratuity, any fees, commission, leave encashment, overtime remuneration, bonus. You can just look at here only few points were given, but if you go in depth, they given us bonus, advance salary, years of salary, and your pension, refund from compulsory deposit. So these all comes under the head salary. I mean, gratuity, leave encashment. Allowances also, you can just look at it. These are the different. This is an old book, so they've given only 14, but now we have 19 allowances, which are fully taxable allowances. So if these points comes in the question, they're fully taxable. There is no calculation, nothing. Directly we will write in the amount column as whatever amount it is given. Except in case of entertainment allowance. Why? Because entertainment allowance is only for government employee, there is a deduction, but for all other employees, it is fully taxable allowance only. So depending on the question, whether is a government employee or a other employee. If it's a government employee, what we will do? First, we will write here. If it's a government employee, first we will write under allowances, entertainment allowance, and the whatever amount is given. Again, under deductions, deductions under 16. Here we will write entertainment allowance will be given as deduction. That too, there is a provision 1/5 of salary or 5,000, whichever is less, that is given as deduction. Only for whom? It is only for the government employees. For other employees, there is no deduction. Directly here it is taxable. We write here as a fully taxable allowance. Next, allowances partly taxable. Here we have HRA, that is house rent allowance. So we have to remember the provision. Why? Because we just look at here the format under partly taxable allowance. Here the HRA comes. Here the HRA comes, that is partly taxable allowance. And what we will do? Partly taxable allowance. First we will write the amount, whatever it is given, that is house rent allowance actually received. We write here. Then exempt. We will deduct the exempt amount. So which amount is deducted? Which amount is exempted? How we will know? We have some provision. Under that we have 3 points. That is under this means which amount has to be exempted from the HRA. For that we have three provisions. That is, the first point is actual HRA received. This is the first point. And the second point is 50% of salary. 50% of salary. That too where only this 50% of salary is for only for metropolitan cities. Metropolitan cities. Then metropolitan cities means what are those metropolitan cities? We have four metropolitan cities, that is Chennai, Mumbai, Kolkata and New Delhi. And how about other cities other than metro or other places? It is 40% of salary. In other places, it is 40% of salary. If possible, make a note of this point so that it will be easy for you to understand it. So, the first point is actual HRA receipt. Second point is 50% of salary, that is where in metropolitan cities, and other places it is 40% of salary. And third point is rent paid by the employee minus 10% of salary. Rent paid by the employee minus 10% of salary. Out of these three points, whichever is less. Out of these 3 points, whichever is less, that will be given as exempted here. Out of these 3 points, from the above three. Yes, ma.
Ma'am, in the third point, 10% of salary means actual.
Your voice is not clear. Your voice is not clear. I couldn't able to hear. Please be clear. Pardon, please. Yes, ma.
In the third point, 10% of salary means gross salary or net salary.
No. Listen. Then not yet completed. Let me complete it. So from the above 3 points, whichever is less, taken as exempted amount. Taken as exempted amount. So here you may get a one doubt, as you have asked rightly you said 10% of salary means is it gross salary or net salary? Yes. And even I'm telling here in the second point 50% of salary or 40% of salary. Then salary means what? No, it's not gross, it's not net salary. Salary means here salary is equal to basic pay plus DA. In the brackets we have, if it enters into service benefits plus commission on turnover. Commission on turnover. So here salary means basic pay plus DA. That too when we will take that DA? Only if it enters into service benefits or retirement benefits. Plus commission. Commission means not just like commission. Commission on turnover. Turnover means on our total sales, whatever commission we are giving, that commission only. So it's very clear that here salary, here 50% of salary means or 10% of salary or 40% of salary. Salary means basic pay plus DA. That too it is a service benefits or retirement benefits plus commission on turnover. Now, out of these three points, whichever is less, That we will provide here for HRA under that exempt, and remaining will be kept in the amount column as taxable amount. And also there is a rule, one more rule, that is there will be no exemption. For example, the person is having his own house but claiming HRA. In that case, it is not allowed. Why? Because if he is living in his own house, he cannot claim any exempt. So whenever an SSC is staying living in his own house, there is no exempt. Direct amount is taxable. For example, uh, Mr. X is receiving some 80,000 as HRA, but is living in his own house. In that case, this all calculation is not required. If he is living in his own house, this all calculation is not required. Directly we write here in the last amount column. There will be no deduction when assessee is living in his own house. Now there is another rule also. Whatever your rent paid by the employees there, na, it should be more than this 10% of salary. It should be more than this 10% of salary. For example, rent paid by the employee is 80,000, but 10% of salary is 1 lakh. In that, you'll get your minus figure. Suppose rent paid by the employee is 80,000, 10% of salary is 1 lakh. What happens? 80,000 minus 1 lakh, it's minus 20,000. That we cannot give as exemption. So that is also one of the point you have to remember. Rent paid by the employee should not be any case less than 10% of salary. If it is less than 10% of salary, in that case, there is no exemption. So HRA, sometimes it will come for the short problem also. That is the reason I'm again explaining in detail. So, whenever you are calculating the exemption, you have to look after the 2 points. The first point is, if assessee is living in his own house, there is no exemption. So, there is no calculation of all these things. These all will not exist. Directly, it will be in the amount, taxable amount. That is one point. The next point is rent paid by the employee. Rent paid by the employee is less than the 10% of salary. In that case, also there will be no exemption. Directly HRA is. So how you will know whether rent paid by the employee is less? When you calculate all these points, then only you'll come to know whether it is less than 10% of salary or not. So this is about the HRA. Now, next point. So what we will do one or two problems which are related to HRA so that you will be able to understand how to do it. Right? It is given here. Let's see. No, it's not given. Look at the back. It's RFA. It's fine. Otherwise, I'll write here. Just look at that rule. I'll write beside your own. So I'll read one question for you. Mr. X is an employee in Chennai whose basic salary is 12,000. Basic salary is 12,000 per month, and dearness allowance, that is DA, take it as 4,000 per month. Wait, otherwise we'll take like this. Basic pay is 80,000 per annum. We'll take, means yearly it is per annum. And DA will take 40,000 per annum. And here in the brackets we are mentioning enter service benefits. Enter service benefits. And commission is 10,000 and bonus it is 8,000. Arrears of salary is 12,000 and house rent allowance it is 36,000 per annum and rent paid is 60,000 per annum. Now we will calculate what is taxable HRA. So now I want to know what is the tax that is taxable and how much is the tax that is exempted. So whenever you are writing in that format, first we will write HRA, house rent allowance. How much is the house rent allowance is receiving? Is receiving house rent allowance as 36,000 per annum. So here house rent allowance is 36,000. Now, for example, Mr. X is staying in Mumbai. I write here X stays in Mumbai. So now he is receiving 36,000. Now I have to find out what is the tax that is HRA that is exempted. If we just look at here the rule, actual amount received as HRA. So first point is I'll write like this, less least of the following. Least of the following. So what is the first point under this? The first point is actual HRA received. So what is the actual HRA is receiving? Yes. What is the actual HRA is receiving? Mr. X? How much is receiving?
36.
House rent allowance?
36,000.
Yeah, 36,000. So this is the first point. And the second point is 50% of salary or 40% of salary. Now where is staying? He's staying in Mumbai. Mumbai is a metropolitan city. Whenever it is a metropolitan city, what is the rule?
50%.
50% of salary. 50% of salary. Now what is salary again? I have to find out salary.
80,000.
Basic pay, basic salary plus
80,000.
a part of salary service benefit. Can I take the commission?
Yes, ma'am.
No, I cannot take commission because
No.
commission on turnover they said you can see here. It's visible on the screen also your note they mentioned. Can you see this?
Yes.
No. Salary means basic pay plus DA service benefits plus commission calculated on turnover. If you look at here, they did not mention anything whether it is a turnover on commission or only commission. So when
Only
nothing is
commission.
mentioned, we take only it is a commission. It is not on turnover. So here salary means we'll take basic salary plus DA. So here basic salary is how much? 80,000
80,000.
plus DA is 40,000.
40,000.
Put together, it comes to 1,20,000.
20,000.
In this 50%, in this
60,000.
50% comes to 60,000.
60,000.
Now, what is the third point? Third point is
Rent paid.
rent paid minus,
10% of salary.
yes, rent paid minus 10% of salary. So what is the rent he is paying? Just look at here. He's paying 60,000 per annum. So here rent paid is 60,000 minus 10% of salary. Salary means how much we got?
80,
Salary
one
means
lakh 20,000.
1,20,000. So 1,20,000 into 10%. It
40.
comes it comes to
12,000.
12,000. 12,000. So 60,000 minus 12,000 comes to
48.
48,000.
48,000.
Now we have three figures. That is, this is actual HRA received. Under that first point is actual HRA received is 36,000. Second point is 50% of salary is 60,000. And third point is rent paid minus 10% of salary is
48,000.
48,000. Now, out of so, what is the first rule? If he is staying in his, is living in his own house, there is no exemption. So, he did not mention anything about whether he is living in his own house or not. So, we assume he is living in a rented house only. Next point is rent paid minus 10%. Rent paid should be always more than the 10% of salary. If you look at your rent paid is 60,000, 10% of salary is 12,000. So it is more than. So now we will receive an exemption. Now, out of this 3 point, 36,000, 60,000 and 48,000. Which one is the least one?
36,000.
36,000. So what is the exemption he is receiving?
36,000.
36,000. So what is the taxable HRA for him? What is the taxable HRA for him? How much he has to pay?
36,000.
Nil. Why? Because look at here. How much is receiving HRA? 36,000.
Hmm.
From this,
Before,
least of the following.
24,000.
Why 24,000? Nil it is.
Okay, ma'am.
36,000 minus 36,000.
Okay.
Yes.
There is no tax. So whenever you do the full problem, there will write nil. HRA nil. So this is one type of problem where I showed you how we will calculate the HRA. Is it clear?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Okay. Now we will move to the next one. So these are partly of these are prescribed special allowances. Means if this type of allowances are given in the question, uh, spent amount is exempted, unspent amount is taxable. Spent amount is exempted and unspent amount is taxable. For example, traveling allowance, conveyance allowance, daily allowance on buy on food, welfare allowance, academic allowance, uniform allowance, and newspaper allowance. Like this, we have 7 allowances. And if these allowances are given in the question, it is very clear that spent amount is exempted. Whatever they have spent, that is exempted, and unspent amount is taxable. Now, special allowances in this, you have to remember the most important one, that is children education allowance. Children education allowance. And in this, whatever the allowance is provided by the employer, but he will receive an exempt of 100 rupees per month per child up to a maximum of 2 children only. What when it is children education allowance. And hostel allowance also 300 per month per child for maximum of 2 children only. Next, transport allowance up to now this has changed actually. This is a old book. So now it is, or you can make change, or if you have book, you can check that. In that it is 3,200 per month in case of handicapped or blind person. That is 3,200. So there are a few points you have to remember. Next, perquisites, rent-free accommodation. I think this we have discussed earlier very clearly. Do you have any doubts with regard to this? So that otherwise I'll move ahead.
No, ma'am.
Should I explain or no?
Explain, ma'am.
Do you require? Do you need it? Yes, please tell me.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, okay. So this is it's all the time just you by had this format first. Format is very, very important. So this we have discussed allowances. Now we are moving to perquisite. Third head is perquisites. Okay. Under that, the first one is rent-free accommodation. So many of the students get confusion between rent-free accommodation and house rent allowance. House rent allowance and rent-free accommodation both are two different things. House rent allowance is an allowance and this is a perquisite. Perquisite means which is given an extra to the employee either in the form of cash or kind personal advantages. It's not given for all the employees, only to few employees it is given. Okay, that is perquisites. Now, under that, the most important one is the rent-free accommodation. Okay, so here rent-free accommodation. Again, here it is divided into two things that is government employee and other employees. Rent-free accommodation. It's called RFA. Under this, we have government employees and the next one is other employees. And the next one is other employees. So government employees, it's very clear. Whatever the rent fixed by the government, that is taxable. Whatever the rent fixed by the government, that is taxable. So we'll do one problem after understanding first, okay? So for government employees, it's very clear whatever the rent that is fixed by the government, that is taxable. Now, the point comes about the other employees. The point comes about the other employees. So for first, what we will do for other employees, first I'll do for the government employee. Okay, one problem I'll do. So Mr. Venkat is a government employee and he's provided with rent-free accommodation whose municipal value of that house is 80,000 per annum and his pay particulars are basic pay, it is 15,000 per month and DA it is 6,000 per month and next comes bonus, it is 20,000 and entertainment allowance it is 6,000. Now the rent of an unfurnished house means there is no furniture, the house is given which is unfurnished, that house has been given and as per government rules the rent of that house will be 1250 per month. So the rent of unfurnished house as per government rules. So the rent of unfurnished house as per the government rule 1250 per month. He is provided with furniture costing 60,000 as per rules. 60,000. Now find the value of rent-free furnished accommodation because furniture is also provided for which is giving is provided with furniture costing 60,000. So if you just look at, he is a government employee, okay? So for government employee, what is the rule I said? Whatever the rent fixed by the government, that is only taken as the rent-free accommodation value. So what I'll do is a government employee. So whenever is a government employee, we write like this. Rent-free accommodation. And just look at your rent-free accommodation, what I said. Rent as fixed by the government. What is the rent fixed by the government in this question? What is the rent?
1250.
Yeah, 1250 per month. So 1250 into 12 months. It comes to 15,000. Is it right?
Yes, ma'am.
15,000. Now, whenever government employee, it's very clear. Whatever the rent fixed by the government, that only will taken. But along with rent-free accommodation, what is providing? Is providing furniture also. So in that house is providing furniture. So add whenever furniture is given, okay, for that we will add 10% of cost of furniture. 10% of cost of furniture. Now, what is the furniture value? It is given 60,000 to
6,000
us. To that 10%, it
is
comes to
6,000.
6,000. So 50,000 minus 6,000 comes to 20. Sorry, add, no, add. We will add. So rent-free accommodation value is 21,000. So whenever it is given, we write rent-free accommodation, rent-free furnished accommodation. Furniture is also provided. So furnished accommodation, it comes under work visits. And remember one more thing, they will not give all these details. It's we have to calculate and write in the format. Calculate and write in the format. This all we will do in the working notes and we write in the table in full-fledged problem. This is part of the problem. When accommodation is provided by government employee. Then what about other employees? Whenever it is other employees, we have again under this other employees, we have two rules. One other employees, we have two rules. Under that first one I'm writing. That is when accommodation is owned by employer. When accommodation is owned by employer. Means other than government employee we are talking. Okay. So whenever accommodation is, so we are working in some X company and you have been provided accommodation by your employer, means your owner or your boss or in the organization wherever you are working, the accommodation is providing. Wherever is providing that, yes, please. When accommodation is owned by employer and that is belongs to the owner himself. Okay, he is having own accommodation and giving to the employee. So in that case, we have a rule. What is that rule? Let us see. So when accommodation is owned by the employer, in that case, I am talking this. Okay. So whenever it is given like this, we have simple rule. You just look at in which city the employee is living. In which city employee is living. Whenever employee is living in that city, just look at what is the population of that city. If that city is having population exceeding 25 lakhs, exceeding 25 lakhs, it is 15% of salary. It is 15% of salary. When population city is having a population exceeding 25 lakhs, it will be 15% of salary. Suppose if that city is having a population more than 10 lakhs, population exceeding 10 lakhs, but less than 25 lakhs. Population exceeding 10 lakhs, but does not exceed or but less than 25 lakhs. In that case, we will take 10% of salary. We'll take 10% of salary. When population is exceeding 10 lakh but less than 25 lakh. Suppose where he is staying in somewhere in remote Adilabad, Utnur or Kagasnagar of Adilabad district, where the population is less than 10 lakhs. Population less than 10 lakhs, then it will be 7.5% of salary. 7.5% of salary. So when this you have to remember. Government employee is simple, but other employee, that also if accommodation is owned by the employer, the boss is having own accommodation is giving to the employee, then this rule is applicable. Population city having population exceeding 25 lakhs, 10% of 15% of salary, exceeding 10 lakhs but less than 25 lakhs, 10% of salary, but population less than 10 lakhs, it is 7.5% of salary. You may get it out, ma'am. Salary you're telling. What is salary then? Yes, what is salary? Salary is equal to what then?
Basic pay
Basic
plus
pay,
DA.
basic pay plus DA. That's it.
Commission
Commission.
on more.
No, that is
No,
only
no.
for HR it is.
Okay,
And
ma'am.
whatever formula we discussed, that is basic pay plus DA part of salary or service benefits plus commission on turnover, that is only for the part of HRA. This is different, that is different. So your salary differs for each provision and each thing. So for RFA, that is rent-free accommodation. RFA means rent-free accommodation. The rule is different. Here, salary means basic pay plus DA, that is part of benefit or retirement benefit, or if it is mentioned, then only we'll take service benefits. This all is one and the same. If it is mentioned like this, then only we'll take. If nothing is mentioned, in that case, we'll not take. Plus we take commission, plus we take bonus, plus fees, plus all other taxable allowances. All other taxable allowances. So here salary formula is different. That whatever earlier we discussed is about HRA. Now here salary means basic pay plus DA, with the two in when it enters into service benefits, plus commission, plus bonus, plus fees, plus all other taxable allowances. So here it is totally different. Now, what we will do, we'll do one problem where you can understand actually how we will do it. Okay, let's look at this. So can I remove this government employee information?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah. So now we'll write a problem. Mr. A is having basic pay. His basic pay is like we'll take 12,500 per month, and DA, and the amount is 4,500 per month, and that too in the brackets, it's a part of salary. It's a part of salary. And we'll take bonus, which is 20% of salary. And we take commission. Commission means here only commission, not commission on turnover. Okay. Even in the formula also. Unlike with HRE, this is different, that is different. 10,000, and advance salary 14,000, and entertainment allowance and the amount is 6,000 per annum. Next, traveling allowance 8,000 per annum. In the brackets, it is mentioned 75% spent on office duties. Next, rent-free accommodation owned by the employer having a fair rental value, that is 75,000 per annum, and the cost of furniture is 80,000. Now they're asking us to find out, can compute the value of rent-free accommodation. So just look at the question once again. Mr. A, whose basic pay is 12,500 per month, the DA 4,500 per month, and it's a part of salary. Bonus 20% of salary, commission 10%, 10,000. Advance salary 14,000, entertainment allowance 60,000, 6,000 per annum, traveling allowance 8,000 per annum, in which 75% spent on office duties, rent-free accommodation owned by the employer, whose pay rent value is 75,000 per annum. Now, they're given us three information. That is, if the city is having a population more than 25 lakhs, or suppose I'll take here otherwise, he's living in, I'll take Delhi. Is living in Delhi. Delhi means what will be the population? So whenever it is given like this to calculate rent-free accommodation, I don't know how to calculate. So how should I calculate this then? I should know that rule. Whether he is a government employee or other employee. He is not a government employee. It's very clear, they did not mention anywhere. Now, if it is other employee, I should know accommodation is owned by employer or not. So it is given clearly. Rent-free accommodation owned by the employer is given. So what is the rule? I should get immediately these three rules. That is population having 25 lakhs or less than 25 lakhs or more than 10 lakhs. So if it's given clear that he stays in Delhi, he lives in Delhi. Delhi will have what will be the population? More than 25 lakhs or less than 25 lakhs? Delhi population will be more than 25 lakhs. So I should know the rule. Okay, Delhi means in that population will exceed the 25 lakhs. When population is exceeding 25 lakhs, I have to take 15% of salary. That rule I have to remember. 15% of salary. So I will find out RFA like this. Rent-free accommodation. Below that, rule is 15% of salary. Why? Because he's staying in Delhi and Delhi will have population more than 25 lakhs. So for 15% of salary. Then salary means what I said. Salary means this all will come. This is the formula. Salary means this all will come. Basic pay plus DA plus commission, bonus plus all other taxable allowance, whichever allowance comes under taxable, that all have to be written here. So look at here, what is the basic pay given to us in the question? Basic pay is 12,500 per month. So it comes to 1 lakh 50,000. 1 lakh 12,500 into 12 months. I'll write, if you want here, I'll write 12,500 into 12 months. It comes to 1,50,000. Next, DA. DA is given 4,500 into 12. 4,500 into 12 months. And it comes to 54,000. Next, commission. Look at the commission. Commission amount is given directly, that is 10,000. So I'll write commission 10,000. I will write even here also. It will be very clear for you. Commission 10,000 given in the question. Now bonus. But what is telling in the question? Just look at your bonus means how much? Bonus 20% of salary. How do we calculate? Bonus is 20% of salary. Now, what is the salary here? Here, salary means not only basic pay. Why? Because just look at your DA. In the brackets, what is telling? Part of salary. DA is also part of salary. So, whenever I'm calculating bonus, I'll take both, that is basic pay as well DA. Basic pay as well I take DA. So what is the basic pay? I have 1,50,000 plus DA is 54,000. It comes to 2,04,000 on this 20%. On this 20% I have to calculate. Is it clear? Any doubt till here with regard to bonus? So
No,
here,
ma'am.
okay. Now 20% of 2,04,000. It comes to 40,800. Now, plus fees. Look at the question. Fees is given in the question. No,
Rent.
fees is not there. Fees is not there, so I'll not write. When there is nothing, there is no such item, we will not write. Next, all other taxable allowances. Look at here, what are the allowances given to us? We have entertainment
Entertainment.
allowance. It is fully taxable. So please 6,000. Next, we have
Traveling allowance.
traveling allowance. But can I take total 8,000 per annum as traveling allowance?
No, ma'am.
No.
75%
Yeah,
75%.
75% is spent. Why? Because we will take only which are taxable. Look at here. All other taxable allowances. So we will not take total 8,000. We will take only 25%. Why? Because 75% is already spent. So I'll write here for your understanding. I'll write here this is entertainment allowance. And next we have is traveling allowance, and in which also we'll take only 25%. Why? Because 75% is already spent. So I'll take only, that is 8,000 into 25% only. I'll take it. And that comes to 2,000.
2,000.
Yeah. Now, when we add all this together, 1,50,000 plus 54,000, 2,04,000, 2,14,000, 54,800, 60,800, 62,000. Yeah, 2,62,800. So salary is how much? Now we got salary is 2,62,800. But what is the rule? I have to take only 15% of salary. So here I'll come here. 2,62,800 into 15%.
15%.
Into 15%. And it comes to, just calculate. I also calculate. 39,420. So RFA is how much? 39,420. Is also being provided furniture. Na? Furniture cost is 80,000. So you will add furniture. Add. How much furniture I have to take? 10% of cost of furniture. 10% of cost of furniture. So what is the cost of furniture given to us? 80,000. 80,000 into 10%. It comes to 8,000.
8,000.
8,000. So 39,420 plus 8,000. It comes to 47,420. So rent-free furnished accommodation. Rent-free furnished accommodation is 47,420. When when accommodation is owned by the employer and when population is more than 25 lakh. If for example, is staying in somewhere like where will take like very remote place like Vanaparthi or Tandur or somewhere population is less than 25 lakhs. Then what you will do instead of 15%, you will take only the difference will be only this one 10%. Instead of 15%, we'll take 10% of salary. Remaining all will remain as it is. And population is less than 10 lakh. Then again it will be same. Only instead of 15%, we take 7.5%. That is when accommodation is owned by employer. Suppose accommodation is not owned by employer, then what is the rule? When accommodation is not owned by the employer, then what to do? So in that case, we have a rule that either you will take the actual rent paid by the employer or 15% of salary, whichever is less. This is when accommodation is owned by the employer, this point. Okay. Now, next point is when accommodation not owned by employer means he's not having own accommodation. What he's doing, he is taking one building or one quarters on rent basis or hired basis or lease basis. Then he is providing that accommodation to the employee. In that case, we have a rule that either 15% of salary, 15% of salary, or it is, or actual rent or lease charges paid. Means if the accommodation is taken on lease basis, lease charges. Out of these two, whichever is leased, that will be taken as the RFA. Out of this, whichever is less, that will be taken as the RFA. Is it clear?
Yes,
Yes.
ma'am.
Can I move to the next one?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. I'm just deleting this. So what to do? Give me a second. I will, because in your textbook we are having the old problems. We'll do one problem. It's taking a lot of time. In the meantime, I'll write in the screen itself. Otherwise, we'll check here itself if we find any question where we can easily understand the whole process. Let's look at the problem. One problem, full-fledged problem we look at. I think this we have already done. So just look at this question. From the following information, compute the income from salaries of X and amount qualifying for deduction under section 80C. For 80C it is. So they're asking us to calculate income from salary. So they given basic salary, DA, city compensatory allowance, entertainment allowance, traveling allowance fully spent, newspaper allowance fully spent, own contribution to RPF, employer's contribution to RPF, interest credited to RPF, rent-free house at Bangalore, means it's a rent-free accommodation. The rent of which 36,000 paid by the company, means whenever it is mentioned, accommodation is not owned by the employer, including hire charges of furniture, 10,000. His employer reimbursed medical expenses, telephone bills, leave travel concession, and club bills. He is provided with free use of motor car, a 1.8 liter cc motor car, along with the driver for both office and private purpose. Expenses are met by employer. Children of the employee are provided with free education in a school run by employer. Normal expenditure in a school for two children in the same locality will be 36,000 per annum. Mr. X paid the following: repayment of housing loan, purchase of national savings certificate. So in this, repayment of housing loan and national savings certificate and own contribution to RPF. This three comes under section 80C. This three comes under 80C, qualifying amount for deduction or saving. So this will not come for calculating income from salary. These 3 points will not come for calculating income from salary. Now we will look after how to do this problem. Okay. So first they given basic salary. Now I think it's visible. Okay. Just to get here. We'll write like this. Computation of income from salary of any name of X for the assessment year 2023-24. For the assessment year 2023-24. This is the heading. You have to write it. Now under that we draw a table. Here I'm a little unable to draw that. It's a box. Again, it will go off. So I'm not drawing, just to write it. Under which you'll have first under that particulars and two amount columns. Amount in rupees and the other column also amount in rupees. Now we have two amount columns.
One particular amount, two amount
Two
column.
amount columns, yes. One particular column. I'm not dragging. Why? Because again I have to write here. So that
Okay,
is the reason. Only for time being, I'm just putting like this. Again, I'll
okay,
drag it later. Give me some time because again, this will not be visible. That is the reason. Okay.
okay.
So now under this I said we have you have to remember the format. Under that, Roman number 1, salary. Next is Roman number 2, allowances. Next Roman number 3, work visits. Now under these three heads, we should be able to identify what will come under what. Basic salary comes under what? Under salary. Basic salary comes under salary. So I'm writing under salary. And the amount is 1,80,000.
2000.
1,80,000. Next, DA.
Yes.
DA means what? DA full form is dearness allowance. It comes under allowances. So I write under DA and the amount is 60,000. Next, city compensatory allowance. So it's very clear that it comes under the allowances. So we write city compensatory allowance. So I'll write in the short form CCA.
Okay,
And if you just look at here, it's fully taxable allowance and the amount is 6,000. So right here 6,000. Next, entertainment allowance. If they did not mention is a government employee, so I'm taking it as other employee. It is fully taxable, so I write here entertainment allowance. It's very clear it comes under allowances and the amount is 9,000. Next, traveling allowance. This is also allowance, very clearly mentioned, traveling allowance. But look at there in the bracket, they said fully spent. Whenever it is fully spent, what I have to do then here? What should I write?
yes, ma'am.
Look at your traveling allowance is given. In the bracket, they're telling fully spent. So fully spent means what should I write? What is the amount should I write here?
Full amount, 12,000.
Huh?
Full amount, 12,000.
No. When it is what? Under
Sorry,
allowances,
zero, zero.
zero. There will be no tax.
Yes, sorry,
Nil.
zero.
Already spent and
Yes,
unspent amount will take it.
yes,
Now,
yes, ma'am.
newspaper allowance, this also fully spent. This will also
No,
be
nil.
nil. Newspaper allowance. Again, this also nil. Next, own contribution to RPF. Own means I am an employee. I am saving. मेरा provident के fund for provident fund I am saving. So that is my saving. It will not come under salary. Okay.
Okay,
Employer contribution to RPF. Employer means my owner. My boss is saving. So when my boss is saving, in that case, it is taxable. So how much it is taxable? We have a rule. Employer contribution to RPF should not be more than 12%. What is the rule? Employer contribution to RPF should not be more than 12%. Now, how would I know whether this 18,000 given here is more than 12% or less than 12%? Then I have to calculate here. That is employer contribution to RPF in excess of 12%. Now I should calculate whether this is more than 12% or less than 12%. How would I calculate this? 12% of what? 12% of salary. Again, here it is coming a word called salary. Again, 12% of salary. More in excess of 12% of salary. Then salary means what again here? So here we have a rule. For remember, for HRA and RPF, salary means the same point. That is basic pay,
And
DA
DA.
on turnover. Commission on turnover. And look at in our question, there is no commission on turnover. And DA
Yes.
also, but it is not a part of salary. DA should be the part of salary, na? Or in the bracket, they should maintain service benefit or retirement benefit. Something they should mention. But look at here, did they mention anything? They did not mention anything. Just they given DA. So here, base salary means then we will take only basic salary. So 1,80,000 into 12%. 1,80,000 into
12%.
12%. It comes to how much it comes to?
1 minute.
21,000. What is
600.
21,600. Yes, 21,600.
600.
So 12% means how much he should save? He should save 21,600. But how much is he saving? 18,000. So you always have to look at that. So whatever contribution employer is doing, is it more than 12% or less than 12%? We have to look at. Okay. Now look at here. What is the 12% of salary? 21,600.
600.
But how much employer is contributing? Employer is contributing only
18,000.
18,000. Then is it more than
18.
12% or less than 12%?
Less than.
So whenever it is less than 12%, there is no tax. It is tax exempt.
Okay.
Is tax exempt. So it is we have to calculate. They will not mention anything in the question, just they will give employer contribution to RPF this much amount. Then we have to find out whatever the amount is given, is it more than 12% or less than 12% of salary? So if you remember HRA rule, the same, whatever we take for HRA salary, here also the same for the RPF also. Now, interest credited to RPF in excess of 12%. Now, that was the contribution. Whenever it is interest is there, for interest, it should not be more than 9.5%. So, interest credited to RPF in excess of 9.5%. But look at here, what is the percent he has given? 15%.
15%.
Is more than the 9.5%. So we have to remove that. For 15,000, if it is 15%, then for 9.5%, how much? Just calculate 15,000 into 9.5 divided by 15. How much it is?
1 minute.
I think 5,500. Just look at that.
15,000 into 15.
9.5% divided by 15.
Oh.
Because it should not be more than 9.5 now. I think 5,500 only. Yes, 5,500.
15,000 into
9.5 divided by 15.
It's 9,500.
Yeah, but how much is doing? Is he doing 15,000? So what is the excess of his doing? 5,000. Difference you have to find out. 15,000 minus 9,500. It comes to 5,500.
500.
So excess is doing is 5,000. This is taxable. 5,500 is taxable. Next.
15,500.
In how much did you understood? Should I explain it again?
Understood, ma'am.
Okay. Next comes rent-free accommodation, rent-free house at Bangalore. Okay. The rent of which, it's very clear, rent of which means the accommodation is not owned by employer. Employer is not having own accommodation, is paying rent. So what is the rule? Rent paid by the employer or 15% of salary. Whichever is less, that will be taken as rent-free accommodation. Now, rent is paying is 36,000. Rent is paying, where is that box? Rent is paying is 36,000. But then what is the 15% of salary? Here, because accommodation is not owned by the employer. Whenever it is not owned by the employer, rent amount is 15,000. Rent amount is 15,000. Sorry, 36,000. And 15% of salary. Again, you have to do that all rule. 15% of salary. Salary is equal to basic pay plus DA plus bonus, fees, commission plus all other taxable allowances. So just look at your basic pay is 1,80,000. DA is not the part of salary, so we will not take. Plus all taxable allowances. So CCA, city compensatory allowance is 6,000 and entertainment allowance is 9,000 and this two does not come. Only that's it, and we don't have anything else. So add this 1,86,000 plus 9,000, 1,95,000 into 15%. Into 15%. 1,95,000 into 15%. It comes to 29,000. What else? 29,250. Now, out of these two, which is the least one? Is it 36,000 or 29,250?
36,000.
Least one.
36,000.
Rain. Least means what?
29,250, ma'am.
ఏదైతే తక్కువ ఉందో అదే అమ్మా. Least means the amount which is less. That is called least one. 29,250 is the less one. Out
Yeah.
of 36,000 or 29,250, 29,250. So your rent-free accommodation is 29,250 plus furniture is also there na? Add furniture. And furniture they given is charges 10,000. So 10,000. So rent-free accommodation is 39,250. Okay, they did not give anything. It's we have to find out. So here I'll come here and write like this. That is under perquisites. It comes under perquisites. Rent-free furnished accommodation 39,250. Next, employer is paying medical expenses, telephone bill, leave travel concession, and club bills. Medical expenses till 15,000 they are exempted. So 3,000 they are chargeable. Medical expenses. And whatever the employer is paying, this all comes under perquisites, telephone bill. These are all are fully taxable. LTC, that is leave travel concession, club bills. Next, he is provided with free use of motor car, 1.8 liter cc motor car. Motor car is also car. Car is also a perquisite. And what is telling, he is providing 1.8 liter cc. So car, you have to remember rule, if it is less than 1.6 or more than 1.6. We have a cc, means cubic capacity of that car engine. Okay. So whenever the car is less than 1.6, there is separate rule. More than 1.6 liter cc, it's separate rule. So if you look at here, it is 1.8 liter cc, means more than 1.6. Whenever it is more than 1.6 and expenses are met by employer, employer is paying the charges. So whenever employer is paying the charges, there is a rule that 2,400 per month. 2,400 per month. And if you look at here, is providing even driver is also, no, there is no, driver is also provided. Motor car along with driver. For driver, there will be separate 9,000 rupees as charges. For driver, there will be separate charges, that is extra 9,000 rupees. So 2,400 plus 900. It will be 3,300. Into 12 months, it will be taken. This also will not be mentioned in the question. It's you have to remember the rule. If the car is cubic capacity is 1.6 liter cc less or more. If it is more and expenses are met by employee, there is separate rule. If expenses are met by employer, there is separate rule. If the expenses are met by employee, seems 900 plus driver 900. But your expenses are met by whom? By the employer. Employer means again it will be 2,400 plus 900 will be taken. So what I'll do, overall I'll show you. Next, children education allowances. So children education expenses, what I said, 100 rupees per month for two children only. So 100 into 2 into 12 months, 2,400, but he's giving 36,000. So from that we'll deduct 2,400. So what I'll do, I'll just show here whatever they have done, I'll show it. Okay. This is how we do the income from salary. Yeah. Wait.
Excuse me, ma'am.
Yeah, please. Yes, yes.
When you give me important questions, ma'am.
It's a live recording session now. Just give me a second.
Can you give me your contact number, ma'am, if I have any doubt so I can clear?
Yeah, just give me a second.
Yes, ma'am.
Just give me a second.
Only last minute is there.
No
Class will
problem.
automatically
No,
closed.
it will not end. It will not end. Wait. There's some problem with my screen. That's the reason. Just and stop sharing this screen.
This problem is over, ma'am.
Yeah, I don't know. Actually, I want to show the total screen, how the problem it is. It's taking time. Yeah, it's almost done. Just I want to show it.
हाँ हाँ डीमार्ट में हो कॉल कर लो.
Yeah, I'm audible.
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, there was some problem with my system. Yeah, you can check out the chat box. Did you receive?
No, ma'am.
No, I posted in the chat box. Just check that.
One second.
Okay.
Okay, ma'am.
Okay. So if you have any doubts, you can just share. You can just ping me or WhatsApp me.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am. Thank you.
Okay, ma'am. Okay.
अरे ये प्रॉब्लम कंप्लीट नहीं किया उन्होंने. टोटलिंग ही नहीं बताए. हेलो भारती. They all are very attitude persons.